A very warm welcome to Happy Hands Knitting Podcast. My name is Nadine and I'm coming to you from northern New South Wales in Australia. And I'm originally from Montreal, Canada. Today is going to be a little bit of a special episode because I'm very inspired by my current whip, which I will talk about in the second half of the video. It just really, I'm knitting it from the bottom up. It is an improvised cardigan, so if you're interested in that, you can check out what I'm going to chat about in the second half. But I am knitting it bottom up and flat, and it is a cardigan, which mostly you do knit flat, but I'm even doing the sleeves flat. And it just kind of made me think about all these different ways in which knitting things flat and seaming them is really awesome. I know most people hate it. Most people love top down in the round, and that does have its pluses, like no seaming at the end. Some people really do not like seaming. And about being able to try it on as you go. However, I would argue that you could also try on things knit from the bottom up as you go. I've thought of 7 different reasons to love knitting things bottom up, flat, seamed, all those things that most people try to avoid. So if you're curious to know what these reasons are, stay tuned. Today I'm wearing a linen dress that I did not make. I thrifted it from a flea market that was on in Byron Bay last year, I think. And I'm wearing the Step Cardigan handmade by Florence, the designer. And I knit it in Bendigo Woolen Mills Woodlands, which was a limited yarn that they came out with last year. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of black and gray, and it's got little brown neps in it. And it is their non-superwash wool mixed with bamboo, I think. There's a little bit of bamboo in it and maybe a little bit of alpaca. It does have a nice halo to it. It is very bally. I tried to depill it a little bit before filming, but it's very, very, very soft and very lovely. And this pattern, I think, on her version at least, is quite oversized, but I knit mine, I guess, at a smaller gauge, and it turned out to be more of a cropped cardigan, which I love over a dress anyways, but yeah, I love it. Okay, here we go. 7 reasons to love knitting seamed, bottom up, knit flat. Okay, the first reason, and like I said, most of these reasons are inspired by, I'm actually doing that at the moment, and I wanted to share my experience. So if you've been paying attention, you'll know that I'm currently knitting something in half fisherman's rib. And the way that I'm knitting it is one row is just knit, and the other row is knit the stitch below, purl. So basically every second row is knit. So when I started the body, that was very, very straightforward. And then when I got to the sleeves, I realized that I would have to knit 1 stitch below, purl to keep the half fisherman's rib going, but then I would have to purl the other side. And I think most of us are not huge fans of purling and would rather knit if the opportunity was available. And it sure was, because if you knit it flat, you don't have to purl. You can just keep doing the knit every second row. So were I to knit this in the round, I would have to purl every second row, and I just wasn't keen to do it. So I thought, I'm just gonna knit it flat and then seam it after, and then I don't have to worry about that. So I'm sure there's other patterns where something similar could come up, or if you're just doing rib, knit 1, purl 1, that would be the same either way, so may as well knit it flat. And here's some more reasons why you might want to knit it flat. Number 2, it's less bulky. So your knitting project, so were I to knit this, all together, and I'm knitting the sleeve here, I've got, every time I switch directions on my sleeve, I've got to pick up my whole entire project on my lap and flip it around. And so it's just very bulky and very heavy. And maybe if you're knitting this in summertime for fall, you don't want all this really heavy wool on your lap. So it's so much easier to just knit the sleeve on its own, way, way less bulky. That was reason number 2. Reason number 3, seaming is fun. You may disagree with me, but have you really tried it? A lot of new knitters have only knit top down in the round and have never really seamed before. And I find seaming to be, maybe fun is a little bit of an exaggeration, but very meditative and enjoyable. Yeah, you just really get into a rhythm, and hand sewing is really fun. I really highly recommend it. Okay, reason number 4. Similar to the less bulky turning in your lap, when you're taking your project on the go, so say for example, I just finished the body, now I want to knit my sleeve, how much easier is it to just take this with you to knit in the car, or your kid's sporting event, or dance concert, or maybe dance competition, maybe you want to pay attention to the whole dance concert, maybe not. It's just so much easier to take just the sleeve, and yeah, it's just less stuff to take around. It's more mobile. Reason number 5, going back to my sleeves again, I didn't do this because I only thought of it after, but why not knit 2 sleeves at once? When you knit 2 socks at the same time on the same needle, that could be very easily accomplished when you're knitting the sleeves separately. I feel like if you're trying to do that with the sleeves attached to the sweater, that would just be, it would just be way more difficult. So if you're keen to knit 2 sleeves at the same time, super easy if you're knitting it flat and gonna seam it later. Which brings me to reason number 6. Okay, so once I knit a sweater, when I first started knitting, I didn't know about knitting in the round, top down in the round. I didn't really know anything about that. I was knitting everything pieced anyways. And I actually knit something for my brother and he tried it on. The sleeves were way too tight. So when you're knitting your sleeves in the round, there's really nothing you can do. You have to basically undo the whole thing and then reknit the whole thing. However, if you're knitting it flat and you're going to seam it, if this is too tight, you always have the option of adding another little panel, which is exactly what I did for my brothers. And in the end, I even made it fun. I used a different color and I added a little panel there. And the same is true if suddenly you realize, oh, I've made these way too wide. When you sew it together, you just take it in more. And it's super customizable. And you don't have to redo the whole thing. You just sew them. Sew it in a little bit, and then you could even, if you wanted to do on an angle or whatever, if you had knit them flat and decided that you don't like them oversized, you want it to be more fitted, you could just go ahead and sew it in. And it's so easy. Okay, last but not least, reason number 7 to love knitting flat. Okay, we all struggle. I think we can all admit that we all struggle when you have to join a new yarn in your project. I feel like no matter what technique you use, you can almost always see that if you're using the weave and steven, if you're using any kind of join where you felt them together, I still always feel like you can tell where the new yarn joins in because it's just a little bit bulkier on that little line. But the great thing about knitting flat is, and here you can see it's very tragic, I almost got to the end of my ball, but I had just a few more rows to do there. When you're knitting flat, you can just make sure that you have enough yarn to knit the end of the row, which I did, and then just start your new one on the next round. And then your tails are on the end, which are going to be hidden in the seam anyways. It just makes it so much easier when you're knitting flat to deal with joining in a new yarn. So let me know, what do you think? Would you consider knitting something flat? Have you? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Why do you love it? Why do you hate it? Are there other reasons that I didn't think of? Let me know down below in the comments. Okay, so I have been grabbing this the whole time, so let me get into where I'm at. This is the cardigan that I'm knitting for my daughter, and it is based on this sweater, which she found a picture of on, I think, TikTok, and she screenshotted it, and she asked me to make her something similar. And I was like, great, perfect. I looked at it, I thought, okay, that looks like some kind of brioche or fisherman's rib. And in the end, I decided to go with half fisherman's rib. And after after we agreed on the yarn and everything, she decided that she wanted it to be a cardigan instead, and she wanted the button band to be on the side. So I've been a very busy bee. I've been exclusively working on this week, so I've made a lot of progress. As you can see, I've knit both of the sleeves, and I'm really hoping that this is gonna block out wider, which I think it does for half fisherman's rib, because she really wants those sleeves to be very oversized. I'll just drape it over my arm to show you how it is now. Oh, it just started raining. I don't know if you can hear. So already they're gonna be quite oversized, but I really think she wants that kind of look. So I'm hoping to block the heck out of that. I'm even debating blocking it before I sew it together. I just thought maybe it'll be easier to block it and stretch it out if it's just a square, as opposed to being attached to the arm. Hey, could that be reason number 8 to love knitting things flat? Here's where I'm at the body. So how can I hold this? That's inside out. Okay. So I seamed the top shoulders together, and I finished the body, and I have just finished the collar this morning. So as you can see, there we go. The button band is going to be on the side. So the button band is next. I just haven't decided, do I want the button band to be also in half fisherman's rib? I don't think so. I think I'm gonna do just regular ribbing, maybe, I don't know, 1 by 1 or 2 by 2, I'm not sure. And that's gonna continue up onto the collar as well. And then I'm hoping that, because this one hangs really nice when it's open, which she wanted. She wanted that look of it opening on the side, but this side is still a little bit kind of hidden. So with the button band, that's gonna bring it in a little bit. The tricky bit that I had to do, I don't know if you can tell, is the collar had to be, you know, it goes like that on one side, but this front piece also had to go up on this side. And then this one, where are we? Here. Sorry, this is very confusing to look at in the mirror. This one only went in a little bit because it's really on the side. Let me see if I can try it on over this to show you. She wants it to be really oversized, so I'm hoping, again, with the blocking like the sleeves, that this is gonna block really open, like this. And the collar, yeah, so it's the sleeve. It's all coming together. And I forgot to mention the yarn. This is Bendigo Woolen Mills Rustic 10-ply in the color Hawthorne. And I was worried I wasn't gonna have enough yarn. Turns out I have plenty. I definitely have plenty to do the button band, and she may want it longer. So I did it quite short because, you know, I was really worried I was gonna run out of yarn. But I think I may, if she wants, I may have enough to pick up the bottom and do a hem. I could also do a 1 by 1 or 2 by 2 on the bottom hem, I'm not sure. For the sleeves, I did it straight fisherman's rib, because like I said last time, this fabric is a rib fabric, which is not gonna roll. So you don't really have to do anything special at the end. Oh yeah, here it is. Oh, it's quite warm. But yeah, I'm super pleased about how it's coming out, and she is too. She tried it on yesterday. That will be done by next week for sure, so I will show you that. And thank you so much for everyone who on last week's video commented about suggestions for sock yarn. I have been trying to knit socks without using nylon, and I've tried Retrosaria Rosa Pomar Mondim, which is 100% wool and nothing really strong in it, except for I think it's got like a high twist. And the other one I tried is Onion Nettle Sock, which has nettle instead of nylon, and both of them, oh wow, the rain's getting really heavy. I hope you can still hear me okay. this is what happens in northern New South Wales. When it rains, it just hammers down. This is a subtropical rainforest, and already my front yard is just a puddle, so hopefully it doesn't rain for too long. Also, I have just realized washing on the line, so hopefully that's going to stop quickly. Okay, where was I? So both of those yarns I used recently, and we're talking just like not even 6 months ago, and they all have holes in them, in the ball of the foot, which is typically where I get holes. So I'm not very impressed. And a lot of you were suggesting to use nylon and something with silk, something with hemp. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet and go back to using nylon. I guess I could try a silk sock or a hemp sock. Quite a bit of mending to do after I finish this project. I'm gonna mend up all those socks and then yeah, give you an update. I also have a sweater that I was gonna wear today actually, which I did notice has a little hole in it. Hopefully it's not a moth hole, which means I have moths in my knitwear cupboard. In the outro, I'm gonna show you last weekend on Saturday, I think, we went to a little cafe that also has a nursery. And I brought my knitting, and so I'll just show you a little clip of that. I went with my husband and my daughter, and we had a really delicious breakfast. The cafe was called Tazy's, and it's super close to where we live, and we'd never been there before. I ended up leaving there with some English ivy because I've seen on, I think I saw it on Instagram. English ivy, if you hang it in your bathroom, it loves humid areas, and so it can help prevent mold from growing in your bathroom. So I went and I bought a giant pot of English ivy, and I've got that in there to help with mold. Like I said, this is a very, you know, subtropical rainforest, so it gets very humid around here. So I'm hoping that that will be, help keep our house mold free. And that's another reason why we have this plant that is mother-in-law's tongue, I think is one of the names for it. And that is supposed to help give oxygen at night. Apparently it's one of the only plants that gives oxygen at night. And of course we have beeswax candles, which also help clean your air. The ions attached to negative ions in the air, which include mold. So yeah, you do what you can. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Give me a like if you like the video, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. My subscribers are slowly growing, and so it's very nice to see. I do try to make a video every week, and do leave me a comment down below and let me know what you're working on and where you're watching from. I always find that so interesting. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Hopefully I'll have this finished, and I'll show you what I've done with my socks, my holy socks. Thanks again. See you next time. Thank you.